Uh,
I'm not gonna cry on this. I promise. Well, yeah, maybe I won't promise, but
I mean, you don't have to promise. It's no big deal. It's nothing I haven't seen before. That was like 10 minutes ago. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
How you doing,
10 minutes
buddy?
ago.
How you doing
Good,
today?
man. You know, my kids complain about how I wake them up in the morning.
Oh, how do you do? Do you like freaking
It just
like
depends
a
on the kid, but like they all say that I'm like too much in the morning, right? Like, oh, dad. Like,
you're too
this morning,
aggressive?
Jake, not aggressive, just like I guess like they don't like smiles and happiness, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. Jake, but one of my favorite lines, and you said something earlier that reminded me of it, but and I said it this morning again. They don't like, and nobody, I guess, really likes light in the morning. I try to pick a smaller light, not like a giant light, but sometimes I turn the light on and they're like, Dad, it's so bright. And I'm like, just like your future, my man, just like your future. And they don't like that. Like, I think it's funny. I'm like, it's bright like your future. Like, that's, it's kind of
It's good,
funny.
man. I like that.
I like it. I don't know. I
Yeah.
like it, but they moan a lot, a lot of whining. I don't know, man. But anyways,
Yeah, I'm a morning, get up and get going, like shine on all the lights. Let's get up and then my wife's like, "No, no, we need to do a dim light and come in gentle and scratch their back and talk
oh
softly." And I'm
man.
like, "Nah, man, get up. Let's go.
So I told my kids I was
Tackle
gonna
the
start
day."
doing Reveille
Mm.
and like play that like in a
Yeah,
set up
I'm sure they'd love
like
that.
have all the Alexas go at once and then like it starts playing and I'm like, get up, get up, get up. It's gonna be a beautiful day. But they don't. I'd actually done that. I played it on my phone. I've gone into the room and played it. And I mean, I think it's fun, dude. I like it. Or toughen up, buttercups.
Toughen up, buttercups. Speaking
But
of
really,
parenting,
I mean, and that's the point. Parenting is,
yeah, parenting.
I'm not gonna lie. Like they're, and I'm not like, I'm not over the top with the trash can, and the baton and waking kids up. But I try to be somewhat, gentle and whatever. But it like affects my mood too, though. Like they get up real grumpy, and I'm positive, 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 and then I'm like not. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are killing me. Stop, suck it up. You're going to school. Like it just turns real quick, and I'm not a really good dad a lot of mornings.
Yeah, I've had a few of those mornings myself. I just recently, and this is real talk, so we're gonna get a little bit vulnerable here. And recently, I've had a lot of those hard mornings with one of my kiddos, and going through a challenging time, man, as a dad with a child who's from a leadership perspective, probably a good quality to have to, challenging, questioning, trying to do, their own thing, trying to figure it out on themselves. But like it can get very tiresome very quick when your 6 year old just challenges you on everything and is very defiant. I'll use that word straight up. And the other morning, I had a rough morning. And I was here in the office before you got in, and you came in, and I think you could probably immediately tell that something was wrong. I think I had some red eyes from some tears earlier that morning. Um, and we did a little prayer. I led the prayer, and I continued to cry it out. And then you just asked one question to me that I thought was really, really good and so simple. You just said, "Hey, man, how you doing? Are you doing okay?" Um, and he said, "Let's go for a walk." And so that's what we did. And we went for a walk, and we did probably like 10 laps, about double what we normally do. And we talked it out, man. And I don't, it didn't necessarily solve any problems, but it was good for me to just have somebody to listen and to talk through my emotions, my challenges, and it's good to have somebody that can ask me that question, "How you doing?"
Yeah, man, we talk about all the time, especially in the Kinetic Man, the reason why we reference this so often is because I mean it really is important, right? Like the idea of a covenant friendship, the idea of somebody that's we say ride or die, like your guy, right? Like who's your guy, and do you have him or multiples? And like here's the thing, dude, like that's not a conversation that a lot of people they default to their wife if they're married or their partner, and they're like, hey, and that's the person they go to, and like I mean I'm just gonna be honest, man, like your wife doesn't want to be like your constant, like you the only person that you have to unload that stuff on. She's in the house and she knows the experience, and she's having her own experience with the kids and with the whatevers, and you need somebody outside of that too. And there's also, if you're like my kid, I say this all the time, like my kids are being giant turds, like they're just being butt heads. Well, my wife doesn't. She's tied to those kids emotionally, and her expression may be different, right? And so if I'm telling her our kids, and we often look at each other and we're like, oh my gosh, these kids are such terrible human beings. Like we joke a lot like that with each other, but in seriousness, like it's good to have your homie, right? It's good to have somebody. And again, you highlighted the important part. I felt no obligation to offer advice or to solve your problems. Like it's not my house, it's not my kids, And I always, my mom was telling me she was talking to somebody about, she was talking to one of her friends who actually reached out to her friend and had a conversation, and she was like, oh, I just can't even believe she's, gonna, whatever. She needs to make different decisions and this and that and the other. And my first question to this other woman is, I said, hey, I'm sure you're getting all this advice from all your friends. But how many of them have to walk in your shoes, right? Like how many of them have to live with the decision tomorrow that you make today that they advise you on? None of them. They're not even thinking about it. They're not thinking about it right now. And so the reason I say that is, as a good friend, like I want somebody who I can talk to also just to get the comfort of getting that off my chest, right? Getting them just unloading that burden for a moment just by speaking about it, not by having you come over and raise my kids, but just by having somebody that can just speak on it, right? And there's power in getting it out there and shining light on it. Be like, dude, I'm sucking right now as a dad. And there's also, there's commiseration, right? Like, dude, I'm not trying to one up you. I'm not trying to, but like, listen to what I did to my kids yesterday. And you're like, oh, dude, I'm not alone. I'm not alone, right? And so what makes me sad, and I had this conversation with a dude yesterday that never met him. We got on a Zoom call, met him on LinkedIn. But I was telling him, I said, you know what? My goal is that I can give dudes a path to not die with regret. Like that's my goal, that they don't have regret. And I said, and I can honestly say there's not a lot of places right now. If I died tomorrow, the amount of regret I have will be far outweighed by the amount of joy and the intentionality and the things that I put into my life. But there's a lot of dudes that don't even have a friend, and they don't have anybody that they can reach out to. I mean, I'll tell you how powerful this is. I don't remember why, but I put something out again on LinkedIn. I was like, dude, if you're having issues, like just call me. And I put my number out there. And a guy from way back in my past, way back in my past, guy I haven't talked to for years, he reached out, man. And the courage it took for him to reach out was huge. And I, thank God for that guy. But he was struggling, and he's like, and dude, we haven't talked for well over 2 decades. And he basically like just, I'm like, dude, just talk to me, man. Like, what's going on? And he just unloaded all this stuff, right? And he was comforted just to have somebody listen. And most dudes don't have that. He reached out to, effectively, I'm a stranger at this point, right? We both changed in 20 years, like significantly. And he reached out to a stranger who he trusted and just unloaded. It was a beautiful moment. And I told him, I said, hey, I was very clear. I was like, dude, I'm not your guy, right? Like, I'm not the guy who, we don't live in the same state. We're nowhere, you have to find that guy locally that you can do this stuff with. But it just showed me the power of having an outlet and being able to be like, dude, I just need to get this off my chest. Cool, man. I'll listen to you. I'll listen to anybody, right? I'll listen to anybody. But I'm also clear with them. I'm like, I'm not your guy. And I'm not that guy for anybody else, to reach out unless we have a relationship and we decide that we're that guy for each other, which we got a lot of those in TKM, right?
Yeah.
But it just really demonstrated for me the power of two sides of that coin, the depravity of not having it and the power of having it. And I'm a huge believer, dude. Like we have to have a friend. You have to have a friend. You have to have a friend.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I I immediately felt better when, I told you how I responded, what I did, the situation, and you're like, yeah, me too. I suck as a dad too. And and then I compared myself to you, and I'm way better of a dad than you. So it made me feel
Yeah, yeah,
really,
yeah,
really good about
yeah,
myself
yeah.
because the
Clearly,
things that you've done are, whew, man.
yeah, yeah. It's true.
Yeah. But yeah,
It's true.
all joking aside, it was great. It was good for me, man. It was good for me just to have you as a shoulder, honestly, to cry on, to listen to hash it out, talk it out. And yeah, man, you need another dude in your life to talk these things out with, to say, yeah, me too. I'm sucking as a dad right now too, or here's what I did, or um, here's some resources that I've listened to or heard or read, or here's some thoughts, ideas. Not solving problems, but just be there to listen and have in your corner. So if you need that, give me a shout. Don't talk to David because David, he's really not that good of a dad.
No, no,
Just
no. I'm
kidding.
not. But if you want to feel really good about yourself,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
potentially as a parent, I'm your guy. I'm your guy for the call, but I'm not your guy unless we've agreed that we're each other's guys.
Yeah. Uh,
It's
good
good,
stuff,
man.
man. Thank you for asking me how I'm doing.
Yeah, man. Well, I know you do it for me all the time too. So it's that's and I tell you, it's there's no hesitancy. Uh for the most part, there's no hesitancy in being like, man, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm at. And like, dudes, trust me, there's not a guy I could meet today, not a dude in the world that I could meet today that I look at and I'm like, oh, that guy's got it all together, right? Like, yeah, your Instas could be blowing up and you have thousands and millions and billions of followers and you have a ton of money and your outward appearance is so good and all that good. Yeah, I don't, dude, I am so unimpressed now with all of that because I know I'm like, dude, tell me the thing that you're struggling with. Like, let's get to that. And how much more amazing can life be if what do we need to resolve to make life even more amazing? Not just your Facebooks, but like your real life. Because, dude, we're all hurting, man. Like we're all just trying to survive. We're all trying to thrive, right? We're not all trying to survive. We're all trying to thrive. And at the end of the day, like let's be real. Let's be real. Have real conversations. Make real friends, and do something about it. Do something about it.
Do something about it.
And let me give you an action item. It is really easy. There's a guy that in the mastermind that challenged me yesterday. He's like, man, it's just men don't do this, and it's just hard. It's hard to because within our group, we challenge the dudes to talk to each other, and they have excuses why they don't talk, right? And part of it is these same barriers.
It's
I was like,
uncomfortable.
bro, I have like 4 meetings this week of dude like complete randos that I reach out to because they interested me on LinkedIn. And I'm like, hey man, I'd love to chat. Like it's you seem like an awesome dude. I'd love to chit chat. And like yesterday, amazing conversation with a guy, right? We shared our desire, we shared our passion for Christ, we shared our passion for our families. Uh Professionally, we do things very differently. And dude, it was a completely uplifting conversation. It was awesome. Um, maybe future best friend. No idea.
And the more you do it, it's interesting. The more you do that and practice that, the easier it
So
gets and the
easy.
better you get at it. It's
So
crazy.
easy, dude.
Crazy.
I'll literally reach out to anybody right now. Like it doesn't because it's going to be a good conversation, right? Like it just there's nothing to be afraid of. So just do it. Do it.
Love
If you
it.
want to practice, hit me up. Peace.
If you really want to have a good conversation, hit me up.
It'll probably be short, probably underwhelming, and kind of like you, short in stature and underwhelming.
I'm on my tippy toes right
I'm
now.
just kidding. You're not short. You're a big tall boy. Love
Thanks,
you.
buddy. Love you. Bye bye.